My name is Laura Harrison, and I'm 26 years old. Last Thanksgiving morning, I woke up buzzing with anticipation in my cozy South Austin home, ready to host my first family dinner. After years of chasing my father Gerald's approval, I believed a perfectly executed Thanksgiving feast, complete with a golden turkey, Texas pecan stuffing, and all the trimmings might finally earn his respect. I had no idea that by dessert, he'd disown me at my own table, in front of my family, in the heart of Austin, Texas. Nor did I expect that moment to become the most liberating of my adult life. If you're watching this from a place where family dynamics are complicated, hit subscribe and drop a comment with where you're tuning in from. Trust me, sometimes the family we choose, friends, partners, community matters more than the one we're born into. Growing up in Austin's charming Hyde Park neighborhood, in a colonial-style home with a manicured lawn shaded by live oaks, a 2-car garage, and a family of 5, we seemed like the perfect picture of suburban success. But appearances can deceive, especially when you're held to impossible standards. My father, Gerald Harrison, now 59, built his reputation as one of Austin's most ruthless corporate lawyers. His sleek briefcase always by the door, ready to dash to a downtown high-rise to close a deal or win a case in the city's booming legal scene. Success was his religion, and he demanded his family worship at the same altar. In our household, failure wasn't an option, second place was just the first loser. As he'd say, quoting some old business maxim, my mother, Susan, 57, perpetually anxious under the weight of his expectations, learned early in their marriage that peace meant siding with Gerald in every argument. She became the quintessential corporate wife, hosting elegant dinner parties at their sprawling Barton Hills home, filled with local art and mid-century furniture, where she laughed at his jokes and never contradicted him, even when he was wrong, about Austin's rapid growth or the best brisket in town. She loved us kids deeply but never shielded us from his relentless criticism. Your father just wants what's best, she'd whisper after he'd dissected another of my achievements, her voice soft as the breeze through Zilker Park. My older brother, Tyler, 29, was everything Gerald wanted in a son, a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin's McCombs School of Business. He's now thriving at a prestigious investment firm in Austin's bustling downtown. Married to the daughter of one of Dad's golf buddies from Austin Country Club, Tyler mastered the art of mirroring Gerald's mannerisms. From his sharp handshake to his love for Texas Longhorns football, and even his ruthlessness when needed to close a deal, he could do no wrong in Dad's eyes. My younger sister, Haley, 23, is a natural at everything: ballet recitals at Doherty Arts Center, tennis matches at Caswell Tennis Center, even charming crowds at South by Southwest SXSW events. Her performances were family priorities, with Gerald beaming from the audience, a rare smile breaking through his stern demeanor. When she chose fashion merchandising over law school, he spun it as a strategic move into Austin's growing creative economy, praising her entrepreneurial vision. And then there's me, stuck in the middle, working twice as hard for half the recognition. I graduated with honors from the University of Texas at Austin with a double major in marketing and communications, balancing late-night study sessions with part-time gigs at local coffee shops like Joe's on South Congress. When I got my acceptance letter, Gerald's only comment was, "It's no Ivy League, but I guess it'll do." When I crossed the stage with summa cum laude honors, under the iconic UT Tower glowing orange, he gave a tight smile and said, "Now the real work begins." I'm now a marketing manager at an edtech startup in Austin's vibrant tech corridor, leading campaigns that empower teachers and students nationwide. It's challenging, meaningful work I'm proud of. But Gerald calls it my little job and asks when I'll join a real company like Tyler's firm, or one of the tech giants moving to Austin. Last month, I spearheaded our biggest product launch yet, a platform for interactive learning managing a 7-figure budget and a team of 12. When I shared this with Gerald over a family dinner at Salt Lick BBQ, he shifted the conversation to Tyler's recent business trip to San Francisco, dismissing my achievement with a wave of his hand. 6 months ago, I achieved a milestone I never thought possible. I bought my own home, a 2-bedroom Craftsman in South Austin, near the eclectic shops and murals of South Congress, with a small yard blooming with Texas wildflowers like bluebonnets and Indian paintbrush. It's mine, purchased with savings from years of late nights and careful budgeting, decorated with local art from First Thursday events and quirky finds from Uncommon Objects. Gerald's response when he saw the listing photos: Couldn't you have waited for something in a better area like Terrytown or Westlake Hills? Then there's Jason, my boyfriend of 2 years. At 27, he's a high school English teacher. At Austin High, passionate about inspiring kids with literature, from Shakespeare to Austin's own Sandra Sis. He makes me laugh even on my worst days, whether we're biking along Lady Bird Lake or grabbing tacos at Torchy's, and he never fails to remind me of my worth. Gerald, predictably, was unimpressed. Teachers are noble, but they don't bring much to the table financially, he said after meeting Jason at a barbecue joint on East 6th Street, where we'd shared brisket and banter. You could do better, Laura. Despite it all, I couldn't break my addiction to Gerald's approval, a persistent hope that this time I'd be enough. Hosting Thanksgiving felt like my chance to prove myself. In our family, Susan always hosted, her flawless holiday meals served in their Barton Hills dining room, adorned with local pottery and hill country wine. Taking over the tradition was my shot to show I was a capable adult, worthy of respect. For weeks, I planned every detail, spreadsheets for the menu featuring Texas pecans and local honey. Timing, seating for my small dining room, and a budget that stretched my startup salary. I researched turkey brining techniques, tested 3 stuffing recipes at my South Austin kitchen counter, and bought new dishes from a potter on South Lamar, ensuring they wouldn't embarrass me. I splurged on cloth napkins from a boutique on South Congress, hand-dyed in vibrant Texas hues. Each night after work, I stayed up late, cleaning every corner of my home. Knowing Gerald would notice any speck of dust on my hardwood floors, or imperfection in my eclectic decor. Jason worried I was overdoing it. Laura, your family should love you for who you are, not how well you roast a turkey, he said one night as I polished silverware from a Burnett Road thrift store. You don't understand my family, I replied, checking for water spots. Especially my dad. He notices everything. That's what worries me, Jason murmured, but I ignored him. As Thanksgiving neared, the stakes felt sky-high. Gerald would see this dinner as either perfect or a failure, no middle ground. No points for effort. Despite knowing his judgment was unfair, I couldn't stop wanting to succeed. The week before, Thanksgiving hit like a Texas summer storm. My work hours at the EdTech startup stretched with year-end projections due, leaving less time for prep. My boss, Aaron, noticed me yawning during a meeting in our East Austin office, surrounded by murals and startup energy. You look exhausted, Laura. Everything okay? Just hosting Thanksgiving for the first time, I explained, sipping coffee from Houndstooth. It's a bigger deal than I expected. Family stuff, huh? Aaron nodded, his boots tapping the concrete floor. Don't kill yourself over it. It's just a meal. But it wasn't just a meal, not when it was about proving myself to Gerald. Evenings became marathons of cleaning and prep. I scrubbed baseboards, washed windows overlooking my wildflower garden, and reorganized kitchen cabinets no one would see. I rearranged my living room furniture 3 times, vintage pieces from Austin's antique shops, until it felt welcoming yet sophisticated enough for Gerald's standards. A balance of South Austin charm and corporate polish. On Monday night, Jason found me scrubbing the grout in my kitchen floor with a toothbrush. The scent of citrus cleaner mixing with Austin's autumn air. Laura, this is getting out of hand, he said, gently taking the toothbrush. Your place is spotless. No one's inspecting your grout. You don't know my father, I said, reaching for it. He'll notice. Jason held it away. Let him notice. If he judges you by grout lines, that's his problem, not yours. I wanted to believe him, but 26 years of conditioning didn't vanish overnight. I just want everything to be perfect, I whispered, my voice cracking. I know, Jason said, helping me up, his hands warm against my cramped fingers. But I'm worried what this is doing to you. Tuesday evening's grocery shopping was chaos. My meticulous list, organized by store section, was useless in the crowded H-E-B on South Congress, packed with Thanksgiving shoppers. They were out of fresh rosemary, and only frozen turkeys remained. I hit 3 stores: H-E-B, Whole Foods on Lamar, and a butcher in East Austin before finding everything, dragging bags home past South Austin's colorful murals. Then I realized I'd forgotten cranberries, a Thanksgiving staple. I burst into tears in my kitchen, surrounded by bags of local produce. Jason, helping unpack, wrapped his arms around me. Hey, it's okay. I'll grab cranberries tomorrow at Central Market. It's not okay, I sobbed, tears soaking his flannel shirt. I can't even manage a shopping list. How am I supposed to pull off Thanksgiving? By remembering you don't have to do it alone, he said, wiping a tear with a calloused thumb from years of grading papers. And by getting some sleep. Wednesday, my prep day, was a disaster. I took off work to get ahead, but my pumpkin pies, made with local pecans, came out lopsided. My cornbread for stuffing too crumbly, and the turkey still partially frozen despite 2 days in the fridge. My kitchen, with its vintage tiles and open shelves, looked like a war zone by mid-afternoon, and panic set in. I called Susan for turkey advice. "Oh, Laura," she sighed, her voice carrying the weight of Barton Hill's expectations. "You should have bought it earlier? Your father prefers fresh turkey anyway, ideally from a local farm." "That's not helpful, Mom," I said, biting back frustration. "Well, try running cold water over it, but I don't know if you'll have time to brine it properly now," she said. "Maybe you should have started with something simpler, like an Easter brunch." I hung up and called my friend Jessica, a fellow UT grad who'd seen me through many family dramas, in tears. "My mom basically said I should have stuck to deviled eggs," I sobbed. "Your mom's part of the problem," Jessica said firmly, her voice steady from her own South Austin apartment. "The turkey will thaw, the stuffing will be delicious even if crumbly, and if the pie isn't perfect, who cares? It's pie." "My dad will care," I said quietly, staring at my lopsided pies. "Then your dad can host his own damn Thanksgiving," she replied. "I'll come early tomorrow if you need help." That evening, Gerald called to check on preparations, his voice clipped as if addressing a junior associate. "Just making sure everything's on track. Your mother mentioned some issues." "Of course she had." "Everything's fine, Dad. Minor hiccups." "Thanksgiving isn't the time for hiccups, Laura. It's about execution. Your mother always has everything ready a day in advance, like a proper Austin hostess." "Yes, Dad," I gritted out, gripping my phone. "And your dining room will seat everyone comfortably. Our table seats 12. I have a table for 6, perfect for the 5 of us," I reminded him, gesturing to my cozy dining nook. He said, his tone heavy with disappointment, like a critic at an SXSW panel. "I suppose it'll do." After hanging up, I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by half-prepared dish of sweet potatoes with Texas honey, green beans from a local farm, wondering why I was doing this. For a moment, I considered canceling, picturing a quiet night with Jason at a food truck park. But imagining Gerald's smug satisfaction at my failure kept me going. I stayed up until 2 a.m., finishing what I could, making lists for the next day, my handwriting shaky on a notepad from a local stationery shop. When I collapsed into bed beside Jason, my alarm set for 5 a.m., sleep eluded me as scenarios of disaster played out: burnt turkey, judgmental glances, Gerald's inevitable critique. "It'll be fine," I whispered into the dark, the hum of South Austin nightlife outside my window. "It has to be." My alarm blared at 5 a.m., the Austin sky still dark, streetlights glowing along South Congress. I stumbled to the kitchen, reviewing my schedule: turkey and by 7 for a 2 p.m. dinner, rolls to rise with local yeast, vegetables, 2 chop, table to set with my hand-picked dishes. Jason found me staring at the thawed but intimidating 20-pound turkey. "Morning," he yawned, reaching for coffee brewed from beans at Joe's. "Want help with that? Do you know how to prepare a 20-pound turkey?" I asked, half laughing. "No, but I can follow directions," he said, rolling up his sleeves, his Austin High faculty t-shirt stretching across his shoulders. Together, we tackled the turkey, removing giblets, disgusting, patting it dry, and preparing an herb butter with Texas sage and rosemary from a farmer's market. Having Jason there, his calm presence grounding me, made it less overwhelming, and I briefly enjoyed the process, laughing as we fumbled with the slippery bird. "This is kind of fun when you're not freaking out," he teased, lifting the turkey into the roasting pan. "I'm not freaking out yet," I corrected, a smile breaking through. "Give it time." By 9, the turkey was in the oven, filling my home with promising aromas that mingled with the scent of cedar outside. We moved to chopping vegetables, Jason handling onions that always made me cry, his knife skills honed from years of cooking Tex-Mex with his students. "What time should I make myself scarce?" he asked casually, chopping with precision. My stomach clenched. We'd discussed this. Jason wanted to stay, but I'd asked him not to. "Dad's already judgmental about this house and my cooking," I'd explained over beers at Austin Beer Garden Brewing. "I don't want to give him another target." He'd been hurt but understanding. "I get it. Your call. But someday you'll have to stop hiding me like I'm something to be ashamed of." He was right. But Thanksgiving wasn't the time to take that stand, not with Gerald's scrutiny looming. Around noon would be good, I said quietly. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, he said, though his eyes betrayed his disappointment. By 11. We'd made progress, but disaster struck. The oven's bottom element stopped working, cooking the turkey unevenly. No, I moaned, panic rising as I stared into the oven. Jason peered in. It's still cooking, just slower. We can rotate it and bump up the heat. I called Jessica in tears. My oven's broken, the turkey's raw, and everyone's coming in 3 hours. Take a breath, she said, her voice calm from years of managing SXSW logistics. Rotate it, increase the heat, and worst case, carve it and finish in the microwave. Microwave turkey, on Thanksgiving. My father would disown me, I said, half joking, my voice shaking. Then he'd be an even bigger jerk than I think, she replied. You've got this, Laura. Call if you need me. With the turkey somewhat under control, we finished the dishes. Green bean casserole with local mushrooms. Sweet potatoes mashed with Texas honey. Cranberry sauce in a crystal dish to hide its canned origins. Pies on plates from a South Austin artisan. By noon, Jason prepared to leave, surveying our progress. Everything looks amazing, Laura, he said, admiration in his voice. Your family's lucky. We'll see if they think so, I said, nerves returning. He took my flour-covered hands. You've created an incredible meal in this beautiful home you worked hard to buy. If they can't appreciate that, it's their loss. He kissed me goodbye, and I was alone with my Thanksgiving battlefield. The hum of Austin's food trucks in the distance. I rushed to shower and change, choosing an outfit deliberated over, for days sophisticated but not trying too hard. Festive with a scarf from a Zilker Park market, reflecting Austin's bohemian vibe. I applied makeup with shaking hands, cursing smudged eyeliner. At 1:30, the doorbell rang. I smoothed my sweater and greeted my first guest. Haley arrived first, bearing a bottle of Texas Hill Country wine and genuine enthusiasm, her eyes bright from an SXSW fashion panel she'd attended. This place looks amazing, Laura, she exclaimed, admiring my South Congress-inspired decor vintage, posters, local ceramics, fairy lights. Her approval boosted my confidence, which evaporated when my parents arrived. Susan entered with unnecessary serving dishes from their Barton Hills home. Just in case you needed extras, she said, peering around with concern, as if my cozy space couldn't compare to her sprawling estate. Gerald followed, scanning my home critically, his lawyerly gaze missing nothing. Bit small for entertaining, isn't it? He said by way of greeting. And that sage green color is an interesting choice. It's called sea salt, I said, keeping my voice light, channeling Austin's laid-back vibe. Very popular here. He replied, moving to the dining room. Table seems cramped. We could have hosted at our place if space was an issue. Tyler arrived last, apologizing for traffic on Mopac and complimenting the kitchen aromas. A diplomatic counter to Gerald's criticism. As we gathered around my cramped table, set with local pottery and wildflower centerpieces, I felt pride beneath my anxiety. I'd pulled this off. Food looked delicious. My home was a reflection of Austin's eclectic charm, and my family was here. Well, Gerald said as I served, let's see if it tastes as good as it looks. The first few minutes passed with an uneasy truce. Everyone made appreciative noises, though Gerald chewed thoughtfully, as if judging a dish at an Austin food festival. The turkey's a touch dry on the outside, he pronounced, and my heart sank, despite the oven's betrayal. I think it's delicious, Haley countered, shooting me a supportive smile, her engagement ring glinting. The stuffing could use more sage, Gerald continued, ignoring her, his tone like a critic at a South Austin eatery. Susan jumped in with forced brightness. Everything's lovely, Laura. So nice to have a break from cooking. Quite the experience, Gerald added, his tone implying it wasn't positive. Desperate to shift focus, I turned to Tyler. How's the firm? Any interesting cases? Tyler launched into a story about a corporate merger, his voice animated with Austin's startup energy, and I was grateful for the reprieve. As Tyler finished, he mentioned, "Oh, I got promoted to senior associate last week." Susan exclaimed, "That's wonderful." Gerald's face lit up with pride, a rare sight. "Excellent work, son. Right on schedule, even ahead of where I was at your age. I knew you had what it takes." The contrast with his response to my achievements was stark, like the difference between Austin's vibrant east side and its polished downtown. Congratulations, Tyler, I said sincerely. Thanks, Laura, he replied, looking uneasy with Gerald's praise. Not to be outdone, Haley cleared her throat, extending her left hand to reveal a diamond ring, sparkling under my dining room's Edison bulbs. Davis proposed last weekend. Susan gasped, and Gerald nodded approvingly. Good man, Davis, solid family, excellent prospects at his father's firm. Wise choice, Haley. The next 15 minutes were consumed with wedding talk venues, like Laguna Gloria, dress styles from Austin's boutique scene, guest lists with SXSW influencers. I contributed, trying not to feel invisible at my own table. The weight of Gerald's expectations pressing down. During a lull, I shared my news. I have some news, too. My boss is considering me for a director position after our latest product launches success, a platform that's transforming classrooms. It'd mean managing a larger team and budget. I waited for acknowledgement. Gerald took a sip of wine. Director at that startup? Yes, I said, enthusiasm fading. We're not a startup anymore. We've secured significant funding and expanded our client base by 60% this year, impacting schools nationwide. He said, cutting more turkey. A step up, I suppose, but there's not much prestige in directing a company no one's heard of. If it were somewhere established, like Tyler's firm. Dad, Tyler interjected, Laura's company is making waves. I've heard good things in Austin's tech scene. Perhaps, Gerald conceded, but stability matters. These edtech ventures come and go, no foundation. My composure cracked. We have a solid foundation. Our investor backing is strong, and our metrics exceed industry averages. Metrics, he scoffed, as if dismissing Austin's startup culture. In my day, success was about reputation and legacy. Speaking of which, when are you and that teacher getting serious? You're not getting any younger. The pivot to my relationship stung. Jason and I are serious, I said, struggling to keep my voice even. We're just not rushing. 3 years seems less like not rushing and more like not progressing, he remarked. And where is he today? Couldn't be bothered to join family dinner? The unfairness hit like a blow. He wanted to come. I asked him not to because I knew you'd make these comments. What comments? Legitimate questions about your future, Gerald said, setting down his fork. Look around, Laura. Your brother's excelling in a respected profession. Your sister's engaged to a man with excellent prospects. And you, a mediocre job at an unstable company, a relationship going nowhere, and a house barely big enough for this dinner. Each word was a slap, stinging worse than an Austin summer sunburn. My face grew hot as tears threatened. Gerald, Susan said softly, touching his arm. It's Thanksgiving. Exactly, he replied, a time for family honesty. Honestly, I'm concerned. At 26, Laura should be further along. Instead, she's serving dry turkey in a starter home and calling it success. The room fell silent, the clink of dishes replaced by tension. Tyler stared at his plate. Haley's eyes widened. Susan looked pained but said nothing. Something inside me snapped. After years of chasing Gerald's approval, I'd reached my breaking point. My turkey isn't dry, I said, voice shaking, echoing through my small dining room. My home isn't too small. My career is successful, transforming education. And Jason is the best thing in my life. If you can't see that, it's your failing, not mine. Gerald's expression darkened, his lawyerly composure cracking. Watch your tone, Laura. I'm still your father. Then act like one, I replied, surprising myself with my boldness, fueled by years of suppressed frustration. A real father would be proud, not constantly comparing me to others or finding fault. He pushed back from the table, napkin thrown down. I won't be disrespected in front of family. If this is your attitude, perhaps we should reconsider our relationship. What does that mean? I asked, knowing the answer. It means I'm done, he said coldly. Done trying to guide someone who won't listen. Done watching you waste your potential. As far as I'm concerned, you're no longer part of this family. The words hung in the air, devastating as a Texas thunderstorm. Gerald, Susan gasped. You don't mean that. I absolutely do, he replied, standing, his chair scraping the hardwood. Susan, kids, we're leaving. This dinner is over. Haley sat frozen, tears streaming down her face, smudging her mascara. Tyler looked torn, his usual confidence shaken. Dad, come on, he started. This is way out of line. Stay if you want, Gerald told him. But I'm done. He strode out, his footsteps echoing like a gavel. Susan hesitated, casting an apologetic glance. Laura, he doesn't go, Mom, I said quietly, my voice steady despite the pain. You always do. She flinched but followed him, her heels clicking on my floor. Haley hugged me, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Laura. He had no right. Tyler joined her. This is messed up. Want us to stay? I looked at my beautiful table, the food growing cold, the holiday ruined. No, I need to be alone, I said, surprising myself with my calm. They left reluctantly, promising to call, leaving me in the ruins of my perfect Thanksgiving. The Austin skyline dimming outside my window. Disowned. The word echoed as I stared at the half-eaten meal, plates abandoned, like props in a failed play. I'd known Gerald was critical, even cruel, but I never thought he'd go this far. I sank into my chair, surrounded by my failed attempt to be enough, and began to cry, tears falling onto my hand-woven napkins. The sound of my door closing behind my siblings felt final, like the end of an SXSW set. I sat alone, replaying his words. Had every disappointment I'd caused him lead to this? I moved mechanically, scraping food into the trash turkey, stuffing dreams of approval stacking dishes in the sink. The table setting, so carefully arranged with Austin's artisanal touches, now seemed foolish. How had I thought place settings could change his opinion? My phone rang, startling me. Jason's name lit up. How's it going? Turkey a hit. The question broke me. A sob escaped. Laura, what happened? Everything, I managed, voice trembling. It fell apart. Dad said I'm not part of the family anymore. He disowned me at my own table. I'm coming over, he said, hanging up. 15 minutes later, he arrived in sweatpants and an Austin High t-shirt, his face full of concern as he crossed my threshold. He held me as I sobbed, not asking questions, just offering the solid comfort of his presence, like the sturdy oaks outside. When I could speak, we sat on my thrift store couch, and I recounted the disaster, my words spilling out like a river. He had no right to speak to you like that, Jason said, anger in his voice, his hand gripping mine. This isn't about you failing. It's about him being controlling and emotionally abusive, unable to handle a daughter who's thriving on her own terms. What if he's right? I whispered, voicing my deepest fear. What if I am a disappointment? My career isn't as prestigious as Tyler's. I'm not engaged like Haley. Behind who? By whose standards? Jason asked, his eyes intense. You're 26, you own your home in one of America's hottest cities. You're respected at work, impacting education. You have friends who'd walk through fire for you. The only standard you're not meeting is your father's impossible one, and no one could meet that. Deep down, I knew he was right. My life had been shaped by chasing Gerald's approval, jumping through ever-moving hoops only to find the finish line out of reach. Like trying to catch the last bat flight under Congress Avenue Bridge. I never thought he'd disown me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Criticize me, yes. But this, it's manipulation, Jason replied firmly. He expects you to beg for forgiveness. He's used to controlling everyone through fear and disapproval, like he's still in a courtroom. My phone pinged with a text from Haley. Mom and Dad got home. Huge fight. Dad's raging, Mom's crying. Tyler's reasoning with him. Okay, call me. I showed Jason. See, the family's in chaos because of me. No, he corrected, his voice gentle but firm. Because your father blew up Thanksgiving, rather than let his daughter have her own life. Messages poured in as evening fell, Austin's skyline twinkling outside. Tyler called, his voice uncharacteristically serious. Dad's still on his high horse, but this is wrong, Laura. Everyone knows it, even Mom, though she won't say it directly. Thanks, Ty. I don't want you in the middle. We're already in the middle, he said. We're family. Jessica called, offering to bring wine from a hill country vineyard and leftovers, her voice fierce with loyalty. I'm okay, I assured her, though it wasn't entirely true. Jason's here. Good, she said. But your dad's a jerk. Always thought so, now it's confirmed. That night, I couldn't sleep. Jason stayed, holding me through tears and rants, the city's nightlife humming outside. At 3 a.m., exhaustion gave way to clarity. It's never been about me, has it? I whispered, staring at my ceiling's exposed beams. What do you mean? Jason asked, still awake. Nothing I did was ever enough, because the problem isn't my accomplishments, it's that I stopped letting him dictate my choices. I chose my major, my career, my home. You chose your path, Jason said softly, stroking my hair. That's being an adult. In his world, it's betrayal. Years of therapy are paying off, I joked weakly, thinking of my sessions in Westlake Hills. I texted my therapist, Caitlin, for an emergency session. She had a cancellation that afternoon in her sunlit office overlooking Austin's rolling hills. He disowned me at Thanksgiving, I told her, still disbelieving as I sat on her mid-century sofa. That's extreme, she said, her voice measured but empathetic. But not surprising given the patterns we've discussed. Your father uses emotional withdrawal as control. When criticism doesn't work, he escalates. Disowning me seems beyond controlling, I pressed, gripping my coffee mug. It crosses into emotional abuse, she agreed. The question is how you respond. Part of me wants to apologize to fix it, even though I did nothing wrong. Another part wants to never speak to him again. Both are natural, she said, her eyes kind. But consider what a healthy family relationship would look like, not what you've had but what you deserve. Her words echoed as I drove home along Lady Bird Lake, the water reflecting Austin's skyline. I pondered her question. A healthy relationship wouldn't mean walking on eggshells or seeking approval that never came, like chasing a perfect Austin sunset. By evening, anger replaced shock, a deep, resolute anger rooted in self-worth. I deserved better, not just at Thanksgiving, but always. Jason found me journaling at my desk, surrounded by local art. You look different, he said, centered. I'm done, I said simply. Done trying to earn his approval, done accepting criticism. If he wants to disown me, fine, he doesn't define me anymore. That's progress, Jason said, kissing my head. It's a start, I replied, feeling the weight lift slightly. Saturday morning brought clarity, the Austin sunrise painting my wildflower garden in gold. After a lifetime seeking Gerald's approval, his rejection had broken the cycle. Would I fall back into appeasement or establish boundaries? Jason was making coffee from local beans when I emerged. How are you feeling? Surprisingly okay, I said, realizing it was true. Better than okay. Free, he asked, sliding me a mug. Everything I've done was filtered through will Dad approve? I explained, sipping the rich brew. Now that question's gone. He's removed himself from the equation. That's good, it's clarifying. I decide what success looks like. It's terrifying but exhilarating, like performing at SXSW for the first time. Jason smiled. I like this version of you, decisive, strong, like an Austin trailblazer. I texted Caitlin for another session. In her Westlake Hills office, I shared the family chaos calls, expectations, and my surprising liberation. You're at a crossroads, she said, sunlight streaming through her window. This painful situation is an opportunity to redefine family relationships on healthier terms. If that's possible, I said doubtfully. Gerald's not flexible. It's not about changing him, she clarified. It's about changing how you respond, setting boundaries about what you'll accept, like an email, I asked, picturing a way to articulate my feelings. An email works, she agreed. It lets you choose words carefully without interruption. The idea resonated, like finding the perfect chord in an Austin music venue. At home, I drafted an email to my family: Susan, Gerald, Tyler, Haley, wanting them to hear me directly. The words came slowly, then rushed, as years of unspoken truths poured out, my fingers flying over my laptop in my South Austin nook. I wrote, deleted, rewrote, aiming for honesty without accusation. 3 hours later, I had a draft. I read it to Jason. Dear family, I've processed what happened at Thanksgiving, and want to share my thoughts. Dad, when you said I was no longer part of the family, it was painful but illuminating. It showed how our relationship has operated, my worth tied to your expectations rather than who I am. I'm proud of my career, transforming education through my startup. I'm proud of my home, a reflection of Austin's spirit. I'm proud of my relationship with Jason, who supports my authentic self. These are my choices, made thoughtfully, aligned with my values shaped by Austin's creativity and independence. Moving forward, I can't participate in a dynamic where love is conditional. I deserve better, and so do you all. Practically, this means I won't seek approval for my choices or tolerate criticism disguised as guidance. Jason will be included in family events as my partner, deserving respect. Mom, Tyler, Haley, I love you and want relationships independent of Dad's feelings, but I understand if that's complicated. Dad, I love you, but I don't accept your decision to disown me or the premise that I failed by living authentically. A healthy relationship requires mutual respect. This isn't an ultimatum, it's me clarifying what I need for my well-being, like setting roots in Austin's fertile soil. I hope we can find a way forward, but I'm prepared to continue regardless. With love, Laura. Perfect, Jason said, his voice thick with emotion. Honest, clear, strong, not vindictive. Think I should send it? Absolutely. It's about healthy boundaries, like staking your claim in this city. I hit send, then closed my laptop, determined not to obsess over responses. We ordered takeout from Torchy's Tacos Queso and Baja Shrimp Tacos and watched movies. A break from the emotional intensity, the Austin skyline glowing outside. What if they take his side? I asked during a quiet moment, anxiety creeping in. Then you'll know where everyone stands, Jason said, his voice steady like the Colorado River. And we'll build holidays with people who value you. Like Austin's tight-knit communities. Sunday morning brought responses, the city waking up with food trucks and joggers. Haley texted first. Read your email. 100% with you, sis. Dad was out of line. Let's talk soon. Love you. Her support brought tears, as warm as an Austin sunrise. Tyler called. Got your email. Powerful stuff. Not too much it needed to be said. Dad and I talked. He's stubborn, convinced he's right, but I told him he crossed a line. Thanks, Ty, I said, touched, my voice catching. Where? Siblings, he replied. It means something. I'm sorry if I've made you feel less than. Dad's comparisons I didn't push back enough. His words meant more than I could express. Like a perfect Austin Music Festival moment. By evening, Susan emailed. Laura, I've read your email several times. I'm so sorry for Thanksgiving. Your father was wrong, and I was wrong to stay silent. That's a pattern I'm not proud of. One I've repeated too long in our Barton Hills bubble. Your father and I don't agree on how to respond. He's hurt and angry, but you're always my daughter, and I'll always love you. I don't know what's next, but I hope we can build something better. Maybe something as vibrant as Austin itself. I have reflecting to do. Love, Mom. It wasn't an apology, but it was more acknowledgement than I'd ever gotten, like a crack in the facade of their perfect life. I forwarded it to Jason. This is huge, he said. Your mom standing up. Progress. Maybe, I said cautiously, staring out at South Austin's twinkling lights. Let's see if anything changes. No response came from Gerald that day, or the next. Returning to work brought comfort in routine, the startup's East Austin office buzzing with energy. Aaron noticed my demeanor. You seem more confident post-holiday. That director position's looking likely, Laura. Your leadership on the EdTech launch was stellar. I smiled, proud for myself, not as evidence. For Gerald, a shift as refreshing as a dip in Barton Springs. That evening, I dined with Jessica and Lindsay at a South Congress food truck park, sharing everything over Miga's tacos. You basically disowned them back, Lindsay said, her eyes wide. Not exactly, I corrected, sipping a Topo Chico. I set boundaries. Badass, Jessica declared, raising her glass. After years of his criticism, you stood up for yourself. That's Austin-level grit. We toasted new beginnings and chosen family in my charming dining room. Fairy lights casting a warm glow. Later, Haley texted. Had dinner with Mom at a hill country winery. She asked about Jason, wants to meet him properly. Baby steps. Baby steps indeed, I thought, as Austin's Christmas lights twinkled across my neighborhood. Normally, Christmas meant elaborate celebrations at my parents' Barton Hills home, matching pajamas for photos. Curated gifts that missed the mark. This year was different. I hadn't spoken to Gerald since Thanksgiving. His email reply was curt. I've read your message. You're being overly sensitive. Let me know when you're ready to be reasonable. It didn't devastate me. As Caitlin said, his reaction is about him, not you. Instead of obsessing, I created new traditions. Jason and I bought a small tree from a Zilker Park lot, decorating it with quirky ornaments from Blue Genie, Art Bizarro color-coordinated theme. Just joy. Like an Austin music venue's eclectic vibe. The biggest change was how my life improved without Gerald's approval weighing me down. Like shedding a heavy coat in Austin's mild winter. I was more focused at work, present in relationships, comfortable in my own skin. As if I'd finally found my rhythm in this city's beat. Aaron called me into his office. The director position is yours, Laura, you earned it. The product launch exceeded projections, impacting thousands of classrooms. In the past, I'd have strategized how to present this to Gerald. Now, I was proud for myself. Thank you, I said, matching his smile. That evening, I told Jason over dinner at my place, fajitas sizzling from a local recipe. Director of Marketing, he said, raising a glass of Texas wine. I knew you were destined for greatness. Just a title. I demurred, though secretly pleased. More than that, he insisted. Recognition of your talent. And the timing's perfect. Perfect for what? I asked, catching his cryptic smile. He pulled out a velvet box, revealing a sapphire ring, its deep blue catching the light, like Lady Bird Lake at dusk. Laura, he said, voice soft. This past month showed me again what a strong, brave woman you are. I've known for years I want to spend my life with you, building a future as vibrant as this city. Will you marry me? Tears blurred my vision. Yes, I whispered. Absolutely, yes. Sadness pierced my Jew eye. Couldn't imagine Gerald being happy for me without criticism, unlike the Austin community that cheered every milestone. What are you thinking? Jason asked, noticing my expression. Family stuff, I admitted. Complicated feelings. We don't have to figure it out tonight, he said, his hand warm on mine. The next morning, I emailed Susan. Hi, Mom. Jason proposed last night, and I said yes. No date yet, but I'd love to talk. Love, Laura. I hesitated, then didn't. Include Gerald. One step at a time. Susan replied within the hour, full of congratulations and questions about the ring, inviting me to lunch at a South Congress cafe. She seemed subdued, less anxious, as we sat across from each other, surrounded by Austin's hipster charm. Your ring's beautiful, she said, examining my hand. Jason knows I prefer colored stones, I explained. He listens. That's important, she nodded, regret flashing across her face, like she'd missed that in her own marriage. Over dessert pecan pie from a local bakery she broached the subject. Your father still doesn't understand why you're upset. He thinks you overreacted. I'm not surprised, I said, stirring my coffee. This isn't about convincing him, it's about needing respect. He respects you, she protested weakly. He just has high standards. Mom, there's a difference between standards and conditional love. Dad only approves when I live as he prescribes, not as the person I am in this city I love. She was quiet, the cafe's indie music filling the silence. I don't know how to fix this, Laura. It's not your job, I said gently. Dad and I will find a new way to relate or we won't, but I want a relationship with you. I'd like that, she said firmly, a spark of resolve in her eyes. And I want to meet Jason properly, maybe over barbecue. The week before Christmas, Gerald emailed, Laura, your mother tells me you're engaged. Congratulations. I hope we can put our disagreement behind us. You and Jason are welcome to our Christmas Eve gathering. No apology, just an expectation to return to the status quo, like nothing had changed. I showed Jason, who frowned. Classic non-apology, he said, his teacherly insight sharp. What do you want? I brought it to Caitlin. This is common, she said, her office warm with holiday decor. He's extending an invitation, but expecting old patterns. So I shouldn't go. Consider what attending means for your boundaries, opportunity for healing or a repeat of old patterns. After reflection, I responded, Dad, thank you for the invitation and congratulations. However, we can't put our disagreement behind us without addressing what happened. When you disowned me, it was the culmination of years of conditional approval. I want a healthy relationship, but that requires acknowledgement of your words' impact and a commitment to respect. Jason and I have other plans for Christmas Eve, friends, Austin style, but I'm open to meeting in the new year to talk. Just us, if you're willing. Love, Laura. I sent it, feeling strong but uncertain, like stepping onto a stage at Austin City Limits. Tyler called the next day. Saw your email to Dad, Mom showed me. You're right, what he said was wrong, and he should acknowledge it. Haley and I told him so. You have? I asked, shocked, the city's energy buzzing outside. Yeah, he said. Your November email made me think about how Dad treats us all. I never saw it clearly because I was the good son. But watching what happened to you wasn't right. Thanks, Ty, I said, tearing up. So, we're having the family thing on Christmas Eve, he continued, but Haley and I thought, We could do a siblings Christmas the day after, at your place, with Jason and Davis. I'd love that, I said, warmth spreading through me like a sunny Austin afternoon. Christmas Eve, Jason and I spent with friends Jessica, Lindsay, others who'd become chosen family at a cozy East Austin bar, eating takeout from Franklin, barbecue and playing board games under string lights. On Christmas Day, Tyler, Haley, and her fiancé Davis came to my home. We exchanged gifts, local crafts, vinyl from Waterloo Records, shared stories, and enjoyed each other's company without the tension of past family gatherings. It wasn't perfect. Awkward moments arose when our parents came up, but it felt genuine, like an Austin open mic night where everyone's voice matters. As the new year approached, I reflected on the journey, Austin's skyline sparkling like my newfound clarity. What began as a devastating rejection had become an opportunity for growth and authentic connection, rooted in this city's spirit of independence. My relationship with Gerald remained uncertain. He hadn't acknowledged the harm, but I'd learned my worth wasn't tied to his approval. It came from living my values, choosing my path, and surrounding myself with people who loved me unconditionally. Like Austin's vibrant community, Haley texted, checking in, "How you doing?" I replied, "Still figuring it out, but honestly, better than ever, like I've found my place in this city." By standing up for myself, I'd found freedom to build a life based on genuine connection, not conditional approval. It wasn't the ending I'd chosen for my family story, but perhaps not an ending, a transformation. As dynamic as Austin itself, have you ever had to set boundaries with family who couldn't see your worth? Or tried to earn approval from someone who kept moving the goalposts? Share your experiences in the comments. If this story resonated, hit like and subscribe. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is stand firm in your truth, like an Austin artist owning their stage. Thanks for listening, and here's to creating the relationships you deserve.